This segment of the Alice Stewart Show is brought to you by the Countertop Store, Central Arkansas's premier countertop authority. For custom fabrication and installation of granite, tile, laminate, copper, and more. The Countertop Store, 888-510-4773.
And we're back on the Alice Stewart Show, 7:21 on a very important day for our nation as we mark 13 years since the terrorist attack on our nation. And our thoughts and prayers go to those who are victims and their families in that terrible tragedy. And also, it is a day where we are reflecting and hashing out details of what the president said in his nationwide address last night on ISIS. Here to talk about his thoughts in reaction to that, we are joined with Congressman Tim Griffin, Congressman for the 2nd District. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to first say I remember exactly where I was that morning. I had just moved back to Little Rock, and I was living a few houses down from where I live now. And I remember hearing something on the Today Show about a small plane running into one of the buildings, and I ran into the other room, and then right after that, the second one hit, and it all became apparent to what was going on. Anyway, I remember it like it was yesterday, and we must never forget.
Absolutely, that day is frozen in time, and in light of that, 13 years later, here we are addressing a terrorist organization that is wreaking havoc on the world and ISIS, and the president spoke on that threat last night. He says that he will approve airstrikes in the region. He has finally acknowledged this is more than a JV team. He outlined, in some way, 4 points to deal with ISIS, or ISIL as he calls it. Your thoughts on the president's speech?
Clearly, ISIS or ISIL is a threat. The degree to which they are a threat in this part of the world is still something that we're trying to dig down on. But we need to act. We need to act quickly and assume that they are a big threat here in the homeland. What do I mean by that? We need to secure the border. We need to get more serious about the folks leaving from here to that part of the world. And I saw, we arrested, actually, FBI arrested a lady the other day who looks like she was heading that way. So we've got to raise our alert here at home. In terms of what the president said, I think we're still waiting to get some specifics. I do believe that Congress not only must approve and authorize the use of force for a sustained military activity, which is what he said, that this is going to be basically a long-term deal. I think Congress needs to act in that particular instance, and so we've got to have more specificity as to what is it precisely the president thinks he needs, and we have our opinions on that. In fact, we have a classified briefing today. We have a meeting in about 30 minutes with the speaker, and had a meeting on it yesterday. So this is topic number one. In fact, we moved a lot of votes yesterday so that we could focus specifically on this issue. So I agree there's a threat. I agree we need to act. I'm happy that the president is finally recognizing how serious a threat this is. I do believe that the lesson here is that we should have had special operators, special operations forces, and at least some sort of force on the ground in Iraq, but we're past that now. In terms of what specifically the Congress does, we've got to have more conversations with the administration because it's not clear precisely what the president's plan is. He provided a general outline that he sees a serious threat and that we must act, but I don't think anyone ever disagreed with that. The specifics are where you get into where you start getting debate and differences of opinion. So that's sort of what we're sorting through now. But in the meantime, clearly we've got special operations forces on the ground. The air strikes have have been ongoing. So I would just say there's nothing definitive yet, but we want to, whatever we do need to work cooperatively, meaning the president does not need to go it alone. He needs to make the case to Congress and the American people continually and make sure that whatever we do as a country and not just the executive.
And Congressman, that's one of the points that he has said since he really took a more firm position on ISIL, is we need to have a broad coalition from other nations, and it's important that Iraqis do what they need to do for themselves and bring in more Arab partners in helping to secure the region with a broad coalition. Do you see him having the support? Does America still have the support we need for that broad coalition?
Well, look, I think I guess it depends on how broad you define broad. Broadly, you define broad. Clearly, there are a number of our allies that we always count on that are with us and will continue to be with us and understand the gravity of this. I do believe that we have to leverage the forces that are there, organic to the region and on the ground, such as the Iraqis and others, because I don't think that anyone at this point, and I don't foresee anyone contemplating significant ground forces. I think what people are contemplating are special operations forces, which are already there. We call them military advisors, but let's be real clear what they are, and airstrikes in conjunction with the folks that are already organically on the ground that live there, that are from there. I think that is sort of the combination, and that we're talking about, and I think that we will have plenty of coalition forces to join us. But again, I think that we've got to get more specific as to what the end game is. What is it? What is it that the president wants to do? And because it sounded like last night that he was mapping out a long-term approach, and before anybody on the Hill approves some long-term strategy, we need to have more specifics. But obviously, in the short term, we already have people there. The airstrikes have begun, and to be blunt, we have to eliminate this threat, kill as many of these terrorists as we possibly can. I mean, that's just a fact. There's no other way to say it. And I lived in Mosul in 2006 in the Army, and I think we all know
right.
What I knew when I lived there, is that these folks would just as soon behead you than
right.
look at you.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your thoughts, given your military background and having been there in the region. Congressman Tim Griffin, thank you.
Thank you, and I'll report back as we get more specifics. I would just stay tuned.
I look forward to it. Thank you. Appreciate you. This segment of the program brought to you by the Countertop Store. Give them a call, 888-510-4773.